Okay, I'm doing another update with this current project that deals with Unreal and Python and ZeroMQ. So what I was able to do and have been doing in parallel is we now have the ability to send and receive messages from Python, an external Python server, and Unreal. And the way we're doing this is I created a Python using this Python plugin. I created a Python ZeroMQ component. Now it's just as simple as creating a new asset, and I added this asset to the what we call this KiteBoy character. One thing you will notice with the KiteBoy character as well is that I added it was just a mesh, and it didn't have a character controller, and it didn't have the animations that I wanted. So I added certain animations using the standard animations that come with the Unreal setup with the mannequin, and it actually stretched the guy out. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, what's going to happen here when and one of the issues I had to deal with is when the game starts and this character controller cranks up, we want ZeroMQ to reach out and connect to the server. Currently I have a very simple server running using ZeroMQ, and all this server does is waits for a connection and then echoes back hello world. The same thing we can look at in the source code for the component is, let me do this, content scripts. This is the actual component that's going to be instantiated inside of Unreal. So this is kind of cool. I had to do a couple of tweaks because this is embedded Python. It's not the Python on my system, so I had to actually pip install ZeroMQ into this particular Python instance, and I can go over that in a little bit more detail later. But the secret sauce is basically this: you create a class, and then you have begin play and end play, which gets called by Unreal via this Python plugin. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this rec class task, and I'm starting it up. Now the other thing we want to do is when the system shuts down or I stop the game, we terminate this task. So I had to run around and look for some TCP/IP threaded terminate code, and this seems to work for right now. I have some things commented out because what we have now is a situation to where when you run this game engine, you better have that server running and listening, or it's going to hang. So I have to work those details out, and there's a way to do socket timeouts, but it doesn't work the same way using ZeroMQ. So anyway, I just had the thing running, and we'll crank it back up. You could see some hellos right here. This is the server. It's just echoing things back. This is the Python class that's going to be running in the system. So, and you can also see where it's logging here. So if we do play, and right now I'm also experimenting with possessing the character. We still have this controller UI that is manipulating the morph targets, so we have that waiting. And then I was doing some other things with trying to move the head, and I can't remember how I did it, and I'll have to come back to it. So our first thing is that we want to have communication between the Python runtime that's external from Unreal, and then we want to obviously have it talking inside of here. So as I go down, we can see that this component internally is running. So that's a great thing. If we do stop, what should happen is that the component shuts down. That's what we want. It doesn't really matter over here. The server will just stop displaying the message. So that seems to be working. Now the next jump is, okay, we have a component inside of Unreal that can communicate with an external server. So now what do we do? So the next step is to link up with this component, sending commands back and forth. And the type, there could be all kinds of commands that happen. I'm going to shut this down for right now. One of the things, the other things I'm working on is, okay, now that we have communication between Python external and Python internal, is we want to be able to, like I said, send these commands, and some of them might be what we call morph target changes. I went in and I extracted all the morph targets on that particular character that you saw, and there's hundreds of them. So I'm rethinking how I want to try to do this. That having an external Python program tell Unreal, how to animate something, might be a little too ambitious. The reason is all the animation engine and everything is inside of Unreal. And why not use that, and why not create a command set that just tells Unreal what you want animated? So I'm still rethinking that. Now, one of the things I put together was this Python GUI, and this is the client for it. This code that's in this client is obviously going to be, as you can see, look a lot like what's inside what's the component that's running inside of Unreal. So let's see if we run this guy. So we have this UI. So we have the same listening code, but it's wrapped in a class, and then we have the client, and then as you can see, the client that's inside of Unreal, this Python component, is going to have to reach out to the server and get commands. That's the way I'm architecting this right now. So all the server is going to do is change a state, which is this is 0 to 360 degrees. So this could be roll, yaw, pitch. As you can see over here in this test client, it's command rotate 270. Same thing over here. This could be yaw. So this could potentially be controlling the movement of the head. It could be roll, yaw, and pitch on the head. It could also, if you can imagine, sliders over here controlling the mouth movement and everything like that. So that gets to the next stage, which is having these sequenced, potentially sequenced animations to control what's going on inside of Unreal. Now, if you notice right here, I'm going to send a quit command, and then that shuts down this loop over here. So this client is a prototype for what needs to be running inside of Unreal. And then obviously things that get hooked up inside of this client right here, it's not necessarily sending events into Unreal, but it's got a state, it's got a pose, it's got a command queue that Unreal will periodically read in the character controller and then update the particular character. So that was a whole bunch of psychobabble, and I realize it's might be a little hard to keep going, but I ran into something that will shed some more light on what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm pulling up an excellent article that I just ran into. I go to this Hackers IO thing every now and then to see microcontroller stuff, and this particular article in here, what this fine gentleman developed, I pulled the code down, and there's a lot of pieces in it that I can potentially model what I want to do. Now, in a nutshell, what he's doing is he has this animated character on the screen. He's using Python Arcade. Obviously, we potentially could do this in Unreal and use Unreal's game animation engine to do some of the things that we want to do. But this person put together something that was really slick, and it actually does object detection. He trained his own model, and his son comes up and interacts with this television. I strongly suggest taking a look at this article, and you can download the guy's code. It's relatively advanced, since he basically built a skeleton animation engine using Python and Python Arcade. We're not doing that, but some of the classes and he has a fidget animation controller, which is really interesting. He also has a brain class that he uses that keeps track of the state that this character on the screen is in, and I'm definitely going to be reusing a lot of what he's done. I might even try to modify it in the future and maybe use what he's done, but use Keras and things like that. But it uses OpenCV to obviously deal with the camera. It has this robot architecture, which deals with the internal brain, as well as the animation sequences, and it even mentions morph targets. It's really, really slick, and if you guys are following along and interested in this companion AI, technology that I want to try to develop, this guy's almost got a product here. I'm not necessarily going in this direction, but if you read this article, you'll find out real quick where I might be going in the future. So anyway, that's a huge rambletron with the current state of what I've been working on. And so we're really close to being able to obviously control uh, Unreal character in the Unreal Engine using a Python bridge between the embedded Python and ZeroMQ and then the external Python controller. So as I build the next step is basically building the commands that can be used to control this guy. The other thing, you see this camera in there, because I'm learning how to use what they call possession in Unreal and be able to move the keystrokes in the direction of this character. So anyway, again, major Rambletron. I'm turning this character or this mesh into basically an NPC, and the NPC is potentially going to behave a lot like what you see with the not exactly, the dog that's in the video I showed you, but it's the same concept, which is having something moving around and behaving a certain way based off of voice commands, and having some kind of a conversation with something inside of a computer world. So major ramble. There's a lot of different pieces that I have gotten working, and eventually some of this I will put up on GitHub. But it's really tough to even get Unreal set up to where it can use the plugin, Python plugin. There are a lot of overhead involved. So that's the latest and greatest that I've got, and I just thought I'd make this quick video and throw it up there. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate you being patient and listening to what I'm trying to do. And stay tuned, because I'm making a lot of progress, and it's happening real quick. Thanks a lot.